College football is undergoing a significant shift that could change the way players transfer between schools, and it's stirring up plenty of debate. The NCAA has officially decided to scrap the spring transfer portal window for football, consolidating all off-season transfers into a single period. But here's where it gets controversial. While the Division I Administrative Committee approved eliminating the spring window, they haven't yet finalized the exact dates for the new sole transfer window, which is tentatively set for early January. This change stems from ongoing discussions and feedback from student athletes themselves. Both the Football Bowl Subdivision, FBS, and Football Championship Subdivision, FCS, oversight committees are now reviewing the proposed January window's timing and length. Their recommendations will be considered by the Administrative Committee when they reconvene in October, so the final details could still shift. The push for a January-only transfer window gained momentum earlier this year, especially after FBS head coaches voiced their support at the American Football Coaches Association, AFCA convention in January. Both oversight committees backed the idea in recent votes, signaling a major overhaul in how and when players can enter the transfer portal during the off-season. Under the initial plan, college football players would have to wait until January 2, right after the college football playoff quarterfinals wrap up, to officially enter their names into the NCAA transfer portal. This means they can only be contacted by other schools starting then. Previously, graduate transfers had the privilege of entering the portal earlier, but that exception will no longer apply. Everyone must wait for the January window. Once the portal opens, players will have a 10-day period to enter their names. However, there's no deadline for when they must commit to a new school after entering the portal, giving them some flexibility. For players whose teams are still competing in the college football playoff in January, the window is even shorter. They get 5 days after their final postseason game to enter the portal. For context, this year's CFP semifinals, the Zerbo Fiesta Bowl and Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, are scheduled for January 8th and 9th. This is a notable shift from previous years when the winter transfer portal window opened much earlier, typically in early December, right after bowl game selections were announced. The NCAA's goal with this change is to reduce the overwhelming pressure on players, coaches, and staff during December, a month already packed with transfer recruiting, coaching changes, bowl practices, National Signing Day, bowl games, and the college football playoff. To put it in perspective, last year's winter transfer window ran from December 9th to the 28th, followed by a spring window from April 16th to the 25th. The number of FBS scholarship players transferring has been climbing steadily, surpassing 3,200 in the 2024-25 season alone. The spring transfer window itself is a relatively recent addition, first introduced in April 2023, as a 15-day period during which players could transfer and still be immediately eligible to play at their new school. It was shortened to 10 days in the 2024-25 season. However, this spring window has become a headache for many coaches. Unexpected player departures after spring practices make it tough to fill roster spots. And with the removal of the one-time transfer rule, players and their agents have gained more leverage, sometimes using the threat of transferring to negotiate better financial terms. Coaches have also used the spring window strategically, cutting underperforming players and bringing in transfers to improve their squads. This year alone, over 1,100 FBS scholarship players entered the transfer portal during April, highlighting how active this period had become. Another layer to this complex system is the 30-day transfer window triggered by head coaching changes. For example, players at UCLA and Virginia Tech were allowed to enter the portal early after their head coaches were dismissed recently, giving them a chance to explore new opportunities without waiting for the standard window. Despite broad support from many head coaches for a January-only transfer window, not everyone is on board. Ohio State's head coach Ryan Day openly criticized the proposal earlier this month, arguing it doesn't make any sense to force coaches to juggle transfer recruiting while their teams are still competing for a national championship. His perspective raises an important question. Should the transfer portal timeline prioritize player movement or the competitive focus of teams still in postseason contention? This debate touches on a deeper issue about balancing the interests of players, coaches, and programs. Is consolidating transfer activity into a single window truly beneficial? Or does it create new challenges? What impact will this have on a team dynamics, recruiting strategies, and player development? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with the NCAA's move to eliminate the spring transfer window? Or do you think it might backfire? Share your opinions and join the conversation below.